little flashings now over here and in the back. There's Deacon. Welcome to the man cave. We're doing a little experiment today. Deacon and I. We're trying to get seen when we're on the trail. We got some amber lights in the back. We've got two of these CRE bulbs, one on each side. They're similar to what's in the Moto-minded units, which are ultra bright. They're attached on my bark busters going through this bottom screw. Right through there, you can see it. I'm going to put a lock nut on it, but that seems to be a pretty good place. But I'm trying to keep from getting run over. So if I'm going down the highway, then, and I got some traffic coming along, I'll just turn these guys on to strobe. Like this, and I think both these would be especially nice if you're in fog, you're in a rainstorm, or it looks like somebody's thinking about pulling in front of you. You could turn these strobes on, and that'll capture their attention. Twisting the strands together to make a really good mechanical connection. Except I need to put the red on the red and the black on the black. That okay, what you're hearing behind you, that's Erzberg going on my TV screen. Hope it's not too annoying. Nice to have motors going. Get it twisted on. Then I'm going to slide shrink tubing down the entire, at least the exposed part of the wires. All right, good mechanical connection. Solder. So I'm hot enough again. Now at the other end, I'm going to be plugging it into one of the accessory outlets. One more time. Okay, what I'm going to do then is figure out where I'm going to run this thing. Normally you take this the side panels off But then you got to loosen this part, and then you got to loosen the gas cap. You know, I'd have to loosen this off. And then I'd have to take the 4 screws that are holding the shroud off, have to loosen my rack. I'm just not going to bother with it. I'm going to run that on the inside here. And then I'm going to bring it right down on the inside here and down into the body that way, and then fish it through. That's the plan. Okay, I put some shrink tubing all the way down to there. It's not big enough to go over that, but I'm going to put some others there. So get through here. Okay. Looks like there's plenty of room that I can go right underneath there. I could tie it into the fuel. Let's see how that goes. Deacon and I are working on our lights before we put on our Dottori fairing, which is sitting over here. And I put on these weather lights, which are intended to make me visible when we're in the desert, dusty conditions and rainy weather conditions on the road, or if I'm parked alongside the road to warn people I'm there. Anyway, so it's powered by the switch, and it's a really nice switch. It was able to fit in here real easily. I got it off of eBay, but they have versions with different, if they have lights on them like an LED, don't get those, and I'll explain that. So anyway, when I turn this on going down, it's easy, I can reach in a moment's notice, and that's to let people know I'm coming if it looks like someone's going to pull in front of me. All right, so this is what it looks like in the front, and you see in the back little yellow flashing going on. Again, that's more for the razors that are going to trying to overtake me or something, or if Deacon and I are having trouble in the deep sand, to let them know that we're there. And so that's working out pretty good. Okay, back to the switch. This is a schematic that on eBay that they show about the switch, and what it does, you have your power coming in on a black wire, right, going through the switch, and then goes out to the blue wire to your LED, then returns, which they show on a brown wire, but in our case it's just going to be the negative wire. And if you put this brown wire up to and use that, you connect it to ground, well, what happens, it won't allow my strobe module to work. So get rid of it. You just chop off the brown wire on that switch. You don't need it, and just go straight to ground. And what I've got this attached to is hold on, there we go. Okay, here we go. All right, see this? This is the accessory 2 plug on the KTM. My accessory 1 plug, which is right here, is where my telephone. Now the accessory 1 is well, I'll just show you that. Here's the telephone. I got the USB adapters that use it to charge my telephone. So I've got two of these things plugged into this using fast-ons. On the AC2, now I'm going to dedicate this to my driving lights. And previously I marked them plus so I could tell which is the positive, because KTM doesn't always do the conventional color codes like we're used to in the States. In Europe, you know, they use different colors for ground and everything, but brown is generally the ground on a KTM. So I've got I put a fast on going into the accessory 2 outlet, and also into the in the plus side and on the minus side. Now I used a little bit larger fast on so I could still have spares if I need to on both sides to create a little extension of that. But now going into the lights, I took out one wire out of each of those, and they're running through some fast ons. Again, if I ever want to work on this again, I need each light, right, has its own fast on. The one from the rear is coming up right here with the rest of the harness, and worked its way down through this area and popping up to join that. So I've got 3 lights coming up, and that's what all this bundle of wires is all about. So from the from this connector, I'm going up to this black wire, which is going to the switch, and runs along up here to the back of the switch here. All right. The blue wire, now I cut the brown wire off, and in the process of doing that, you notice I put this little goober here. So I'm gonna cut this off and splice it and put shrink wrap. When I was using my dikes, I kind of slipped, and when I was cutting off that brown wire, which is right in there. Anyway, so ignore that. That happens. So the blue wire is now going to powering. Let's get all the stuff out of the way so you can see it. So the black wire from the AC2 right here is going into the strobe module. The red wire on the strobe module is going to the blue wire on the switch. Okay, so that provides power to the module. Now the lights can't share the same ground as the bike and still work if you're using this module. So you have to use, in my case, it's a 5-wire module, and I've seen 4-wire modules and other stuff. But this one, I'm using the red is the positive, and it's got like a black and red. Then there's also a black wire as part of it. If I connect up to the black wire, what happens is it's a really fast strobe. And but everywhere you see the shrink tubing, it's only because I've got some fast-ons in there, so I can disconnect things in the future, and then I'll go ahead and shrink those down, or just leave them there just so I don't have bare metal exposed. So from the outside of this module, it comes up to a splitter on the fast-on that's right here, and goes into 3 more smaller fast-on. These are only, this is a 1/4 inch fast-on this side. This is a 3/16. So let me pull the shrink tubing off that. Okay, so see, it's a little bit smaller width. It's a 3/16 type blade connector, and again, I'm covering it with shrink tubing. So this goes to all 3 of the different lights on the ground side. Now on the plus side, or on the red side, right, I've got all 3 lights plugged in there too. And again, you can see where I've got the fast on, and then I'll cover that up with the shrink tubing. Well, I'll do that later. So in the meantime, so what you have to do, and because I've got the Dottori fairing, I've got this rack, this thing doesn't move. So I attach the module with, it's called 3M. It's a special type of, it's not Velcro, but this stuff is really strong. I use it when I design products in the data industry, making disk drive arrays and 19-inch racks and that sort of stuff. Anyway, so it's double-sided sticky tape, and I just, you know, put that on there. And actually, I used this stuff when I did battle bots to hold things down and during BattleBot competition. Here.
Just so you can see some of my bots. All right, there we were there. Okay, in Robotica. We went to Robot Wars. Other things that are on the ceiling here, different teams. And more.
All about me cave here in the man cave. So anyway, back to this. So the mount, this aluminum bracket is also mounting the, in case you're wondering, this is the air pressure sensor for the EFI, and this is the, over here is rather signal flasher for the turn signals. And that's just being held on with tie wraps. When you go to dress this out, you need to tie the bundles. First of all, this side with the accessory outlet is attached to the frame, so it doesn't move, right? But this stuff coming off the handlebars, which are from the switch and the two lights, and the other switches, this is the normal KTM cable right here, that is all going to be moving back and forth. So you need to provide a service loop. So when you tie all this stuff in, you know, and I wrap it all down, then, and I'll tie it up against this thing. Then you've got the service loop sitting here. Let me just grab that with my hand, like this. And then when you go to move it back and forth, you'll see that there's enough room that you're not putting it under tension or anything. So work on that. It'll make sense when you're doing it. And in order to dress all these wires, because of the Dottori fairing, you know, I've got these clamps, cable clamps with rubber on them. We use these a lot on the aircraft in the Navy, so they're very trustworthy. So that'll just dress that up against there, and just leaving one little single cable, and I'll probably wrap some little spiral sheathing around it. So that's where we are right now, as far as this light switch, and we'll see how that goes at night. So when I get the fairing on, I don't know if these lights are going to be in the way if it's going to crash into the fairing. I think they're going to be okay where I've got them mounted. I can always slide them outboard a little bit and direct them over to the outside. And I did try to figure out if I had a second switch, you know, say that would be mounted here, could I then turn these lights on, you know, when this was off, turn this switch on, and then just turn on my front lights. But that's going to need a couple diodes so that the one power switch doesn't talk to the other power switch, and it might be easier for me to just get more lights, you know, get another one of these, or use a pair of these that they're only on all the time, and then one of these which becomes a flasher to let people know I'm coming. So I don't know, we'll see how this evolves. When I go to the KTM Adventure Rally up in Cresta Butte, September 14th, 2017, people will see this thing, and I'll get some comments, and you know, probably a bunch of guys are going to say, that's illegal, you can't do it. Or are going to say, hey, that's really sweet, I want to do it too. So, consequently, here's the video. Now, I just want to mention one more thing. Let me go ahead and turn this off. Is that when I mounted this light on the back of my P-Run Moto rack, And I'm probably, when I edit this video, I may be duplicating things, okay? But I couldn't get the, in order to put my rotopacks on here at the normal hole, I had to slide this mount this way. And I didn't like the idea that I had to go up through the bottom to put a bolt up through the bottom and then screw it in here, because it's really hard to get in there with your ratchet or your wrench. So what I ended up doing is I drilled through here, and then I tapped the P-Run motor rack, and then ran these 8mm bolts all the way through there. And by the time you get through these two separate layers, you've got like almost 8mm worth of thread. And so we'll see how that goes. If it falls off, I can always put a nut on the bottom next time. But so even though now I've got this light on here, I can still take my rotopacks, you know, and in case of emergency, don't separate Deacon from me, and mount this. I guess I have it screwed down a little bit. I had a neighbor that was coming in and playing with it. There you go. So that part's all set up for desert riding adventure through all sorts of, in case you hit some rain, fog, whatever, people are going to know I'm coming. Thanks for watching. So right now I put this twisty cable stuff that you wrap around the cables to kind of tie the harness in together. There's a speedo and the headlight, signal light. Sorry. And you see it moves around like that. Okay, so I'm off to put the fairing on now. Okay, I'm gonna put this Dottori fairing in here. The lights are clearing, so that was an earlier issue. So let me go ahead and put these bolts in. I'm gonna leave the windshield off for now as I play around with the speedo, because this is what's going to happen next. Is we'll have to see how well this thing all nests in here, and the wiring, how that moves around. Okay, pretty sexy.